we can go on to our first review of the week. So this is Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, the fifth film in the Indiana Jones franchise. George, like you said, was ill yesterday, so we didn't get a chance to watch it. Me, Tyler, and Cam watched it. Yeah, you did. Me, Tyler, and Cam watched it, so we'll give our thoughts. We're all kind of around the same, but I'm going to start with the lowest of us and then kind of go up from there, Tyler being the lowest. But before we go into that, I'll just give a brief synopsis. It's very much standard Indiana Jones plot. So, finding himself in a new era, approaching retirement, Indy wrestles with fitting into a world that seems to have outgrown him. But as the tentacles of an all too familiar evil return in the form of an old rival, Indy must don his hat and pick up his whip once more to make sure an ancient and powerful artifact doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So, as I say, very, very typical Indiana Jones narrative. Tyler, we'll start with you because you were the lowest. Not that any of us were particularly high, but obviously you were the lowest anyway. Do you want to give us your brief, thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I gave it a 3.4 out of 10 for 1.5 stars, and this is a really interesting movie in terms of the reactions I'm seeing, because I see a lot of people on Twitter, both, film talkers and just like general critics alike, saying that they really enjoyed it, whereas a lot of people also saying they really didn't. But on my review, like when I gave it a 1.5 stars, I got like 16 comments. Like pretty much everyone's like, yeah, this film stunk. Like I totally agree. Like no one really had an issue with it, which is surprising to me because I've seen so many people vocally be like, I really like this movie. But then like, so normally I would get to, the naturally, like if you rate a movie low in Letterboxd, you're going to get some comments being like, oh, come on, no, this movie is good. So surprised I didn't get much backlash, but I have seen a lot of people like it. My theater did give a round of applause when it ended. So people generally are liking this movie. So if you do like it.
A round of applause?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was like probably like a lot of Indiana Jones fans. That's just like, because I mean, this isn't a spoiler. Everyone knows this is a send off for him. Like, this is the final Indiana Jones movie for Harrison Ford, at least. Like I said, my Letterboxd review, I guarantee they're going to reboot this shit within the next 10 years. It's just the way things go. But speaking of that, the shining light of this movie to me was Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So if they do reboot it with her and have like a female Indiana Jones as her, I wouldn't mind that. I thought she was really, really good in this movie. Took me a while to like buy into her, I guess, because so Indiana Jones is a very formulaic way of treating their female leads in their movies. And even though this is Mangold instead of Spielberg, when she started in the movie, she kind of fell into that same trap where I thought she might be a little one-dimensional and not that exciting compared to Harrison Ford, because I feel like Steven Spielberg would always focus most of his writing depth on like the men in his movies as opposed to women. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge I actually really enjoyed. Didn't enjoy the kid because I feel like I literally feel like James Mangold literally was like, let's try and make a new short round. Like I didn't feel like he put the kid in good faith. I feel like he was just like, this worked in Temple of Doom, let's try and get that magic again. Just didn't really work. And I don't know. So one thing I've noticed that I'm really, really sensitive to, I've known this for a while, is like when mouth movement and voices don't sync up.
So much.
And I noticed it like, honestly, like 90% of movies it happens, especially when like there's a conversation between two people and they're filming from like the back of one person. And when the person with the back shown of the camera is talking, like it almost never matches up. But with the generated AI with Indiana Jones, like the first scene, like it just looked weird with his mouth like mumbling with the voice coming out because it like wasn't his face, but they used his voice, and it just felt very like uncanny to me. And that whole train sequence just kind of was similar to the Flash baby sequence for me, where it's just like it was just not a great way for me personally to start the movie because it just didn't suck me in. Like I was just like, this visually isn't looking great, kind of already making me down on the movie. But then after that, I was just kind of mid. Like I just really didn't care for any of the characters. Mads Mikkelsen, I love him, but he was just very, very one-dimensional in this movie. I don't think anything was his fault. I just think it was written really poorly, which, like I kind of said in my review also, it's unfortunate because, like, The Hunt and Another Round are some of like the greatest movies ever. And someone did mention, like, Casino Royale. He's great in that. But, like, I feel like so many people in America just know him as, like, being in stuff like Fantastic Beasts and now, like, Indiana Jones.
That's like, strange.
Yeah, it's not, like, a great character. And I'm like, he's had so much more range, but it just doesn't show it. And then just to kind of end my quick thoughts on the movie, just they take a huge swing at the end, which I'm really happy they did. Like, bravo James Mangold for like trying to take a big swing. Like when you're kind of reintroducing a franchise after a 15-year hiatus that within itself was like after a 20-year hiatus, you got to come out swinging. So I appreciate that they went for it. Didn't work for me, but I'm happy that they did go for that big swing with that ending and just kind of all that happens. But ultimately, just didn't find myself caring about this movie at all. And that's the big thing. Like, I didn't think. Also, the big thing. Also, I just truly don't think there was a single shot that I thought was interesting from James Mangold. Whereas I feel like every single Indiana Jones movie has at least one. Raiders of the Lost Ark has like 20 like iconic shots or like scenes, like the face melting, all those kind of stuff. There's always something to hold on to be like, wow, Steven Spielberg really brought the juice with that idea he had. Whereas it just felt so generic, and I think that's just why it just felt so meh to me. But I'll leave it there. 3.4 out of 10 for 1.5 stars.
Yeah, so I give it a 2, so I'm a little bit higher than you, and then Cam, he'll go on to his after, but he's a little bit higher as well. But none of us are particularly high on it. I've kind of had the same issues as you, Tyler. My main thing about this is I go into an Indiana Jones film wanting to feel the essence of adventure. I didn't really get that at all. I found it to be incredibly lackluster. I found the set pieces to be pretty average. And like you said, within an Indiana Jones film, they're known for iconic sequences, iconic shots, having that feel of thrills and adventure. And I just didn't get that at all. I will say, for weirdly enough, I actually didn't mind the first half an hour. So obviously in the first half an hour of the chase scene, with the introduction of Mads Mikkelsen, I didn't mind it. I think the de-aging here or there is a little bit weird, and I definitely know what you mean with the voice matching up with what they're saying. But I didn't hate it. It was kind of leaning into that, Isle of nostalgia in that period. I also that quickly wore off for me because first of all, I think the film is too long. I think it's far too long. It being what is it, like 2.5, 2 hours 35, something along those lines. I think that's too long for an Indiana Jones film. Well, I think it's too long for this film. I think it's a very drab and boring storyline. It's very cliche, which is kind of what you expect, but nothing really excited me at any point. And I do appreciate the big swing, which we'll go on to at the end, but it didn't really work for me, but I appreciated Mangold actually trying to do something different. I actually didn't love Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, to be honest. I like her as an actor. I think she's really good. I didn't like her writing. I don't think she was that funny. I don't think the film was that funny. Harrison Ford was having fun, and I think she was as well, which is always a good thing to see. The what was the kid's name again? I can't remember his name now.
I don't know. Long Square.
That was actually quite good. That was actually quite good.
Thank you.
That was such a bad one. What was his name? It was. It's not even coming up. What was his name?
I feel like I never referenced it. I'm trying to find him.
I'll just call him like fake short round.
Oh, I forgot Antonio Banderas was in that too.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I do. I think he was just like a piece. That Mangold was like, "Oh, this works for Spielberg. Let's put that in there." I think for me, the main thing this film lacked was Spielberg's direction, because even in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which actually I'm not that low on, actually, I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is better than this, which isn't saying a lot because I don't think that was great.
Same here.
No, Kingdom of Crystal Skull, I think Kingdom of Crystal Skull is stupid, but it's also stupid fun at the same time. There are iconic sequences, and even though it's not great and the story is a bit meh, Spielberg has that essence of filmmaking. He has that direction to where there's always points of interest, and there's always points you can look at and be excited by, even though, again, it wasn't great. And I found this pretty lifeless for the most part. Like, I want an Indiana Jones film I want to be there. I want to be experiencing it. And a lot of the sequences, especially nearing the end, just felt really lifeless for me, which was a shame. I think it had a few moments of charm. I think that, they do rely on nostalgia, and that is the same with a lot of these reboot and sequels and past the time. But I think that it sometimes works for me, especially in the first half an hour, just seeing Harrison Ford play Indiana Jones again and actually have fun with the role, because he was having fun, which is nice to see. Um, I think that can only last for a certain amount of time. If you're purely driven by that aspect, it's not going to last too long. And for me, the fifth one, Indiana Jones exited with a whimper. Like Tyler said, I think this will reboot. I think this will be rebooted. I think in the next 5 years, to be honest, we'll get one with maybe Field Wall Bridge, whatever. I think we'll definitely get another Indiana Jones-esque film in the same world. But obviously, that was Harrison Ford's send-off. Who knows? But yeah, exit whimper for me. I go with a 2 out of 5. So I actually have it quite a lot lower than Crystal Skull. I have Crystal Skull at 3. So I think Crystal Skull is like okay.
Same here. 3-star kick Crystal Skull gang.
Yeah. Real film fans know it's not that bad. Although it's not great. But yeah, so Cam, if you want to give your thoughts, I know you're a tiny bit higher on it than myself and Tyler anyway.
This is Quantumania all over again.
No,
Also, people
not.
may have seen me like freak out and like rip my headphones off at one point when you were. Okay, thank you, baby. While you guys were like reviewing, there was like a fly in my headphones somehow, like a closed headphones, and all of a sudden it started flying around. Don't know how that happened. So it must have been like chilling ever since I put it on and then started flying around. Crazy. Yeah, this movie for me was just kind of the definition of mid. I gave it a 50 out of 100. It was fine. Nothing about it like made me upset. Nothing about it made me happy. I will say I think this is Harrison Ford's best performance ever since he became old and hated every character that he played, other than Indiana Jones, of course, because he loves Indiana Jones. But like basically ever since I'll say The Force Awakens, every role Harrison Ford has, he just doesn't care. You can very clearly tell. I think this is his best performance since that. I think he did pretty damn well. I liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge a lot. I liked him a lot. Mads Mikkelsen, is never going to do bad, but he like wasn't really given anything. The story was fine. Everything, in my opinion, was fine. And at the very least, and fight me, bitches, at the very least, I didn't have to watch Shia LaBeouf on my damn screen. So
he would have made it better.
no, that dude sucks.
He would have made it better. No, he doesn't. Shia LaBeouf's a good actor. I don't know why we were having this conversation.
Nope. At the very least, I didn't have to watch Shia LaBeouf. I got to get my kids some food real quick, but I'll try to be back for spoilers. Y'all do spoilers though.
Yeah, I want to go back off of Tyler's comment as well. Mads Mikkelsen, Tyler. Like I see articles of Mads Mikkelsen, and it's like people do reference him with just being a franchise villain a lot. And it's kind of annoying because he does tend to get these villainous roles where they're so one-dimensional. And I can still watch Mads Mikkelsen on the screen and enjoy it because I think he's such a talented actor and he has this presence and he does play a good villain. So I did think he was okay in this, but that's purely because of him and not because of the way the villain was wrote. Because, like you said, it was so one-dimensional. And for me, another issue with this film is it just felt like the same thing. Indiana Jones was chasing him to get the artifacts. He was chasing Indiana Jones. It's just again. It just continues to repeat itself to the point where boredom, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Mads Mikkelsen, it's a shame that he doesn't get more roles that are fleshed out as a villain because I'd really like to see that. I think, like Tyler, imagine having Mads Mikkelsen by playing a well-written villain. It would be
like Casino Royale.
I'm not saying Casino Royale.
Okay.
So Casino Royale, he's great, but he's also in Tyler's favorite Star Wars.
Which one's that? Last Jedi or some shit?
No, it's Rogue One. He's a villain in Rogue One. Or no, he's actually the good guy. He's the good guy in Rogue One for the first time ever. But yeah.
Well, he was least forgettable because I don't remember that.
God, you can't remember your favorite Star Wars? He's Jyn Erso's father.
Wait, is he a villain in the Fantastic Beasts film?
Yes, he's Dumbledore. Wait,
well,
right?
He's not a villain. He's just in the Fantastic Beasts films.
What is he in?
He replaced Johnny Depp.
Yeah, so he's not Dumbledore. He's Voldemort.
Grindelwald.
Grindelwald. Gay Wizard Hitler, basically.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it.
I think Red Letter Media calls him Gay Wizard Hitler.
That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say.
That's basically what he is.
I mean, we're going to spoilers. Like, I think with this film, up until a certain part, you realistically can predict most of what's going to happen, but he does take a big swing at the end. Tyler, I want to know kind of
what's the big swing? Am I stupid? I thought it was a fine ending. What's the big swing?
Time traveling.
Oh, I thought we knew that was happening. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, not necessarily. Tyler, the ending for me didn't do a lot, but I appreciated the swing. I know. Did you say you liked the ending of this?
No, I liked that they took the like when they were like flying into the worm. It's freaking sheep over there. I appreciated they took the swing like with the time traveling. Like basically they were flying towards that wormhole, and there's like a moment where you thought that they were gonna like turn around or like something was gonna stop them from going through it. I was gonna be really pissed. I was like, if you're gonna tease this the whole movie, give us some goddamn time travel. So I was happy they actually took the swing. But it didn't do anything for me. Like they went back to like 300 BC when Archimedes was alive, and there was in the midst of some war, and they were just like flying their plane around, and they were getting hit by catapults, and the thing that's annoyed me about it too is like Indiana Jones is a smart character. Like he gets out of these crazy situations, but yet when he time travels back to the year 300, he's like saying like, no, leave me to die here. Like leave me here. Like go on without me. And like, he should be smart enough to know that simply would just like ruin the entire universe timeline. And like, just he should know that just wouldn't work. And he just like,
maybe time travel in this is different where everything's okay.
Yeah, well, it was like the first time it ever happened, so I doubt they were just like experts immediately when they time traveled back.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it just didn't do anything for me. I think like just a lot of the emotion just never hit, and the whole time travel. Like, I'm happy they actually did it because the whole movie was building up to getting that dial and going back. But I don't know, like what even happened when they went back there? They like flew back and saw that time travel works, and that Mads Mikkelsen messed up because he was dumb. And then,
yeah, he shot out to like way before Hitler or something, or they wanted to kill Hitler, and then he shot out like way before or something, and then.
Well, I'll explain like the ending because I feel like it's important.
Yeah, you probably do better than me.
Yeah. Well, I actually, if I do, I'll probably say the same as you. So I'll just pull it up and explain the ending again. Spoilers for the whole ending. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know the ending, then
I'll also say, okay. So it's a callback and it's fan service and all that, but every time the Indiana Jones theme hits, it hits and it hits hard. Doesn't matter what it is. I think every time it plays, it hits hard.
Well, I actually was going to ask you about that. I completely forgot. So before I go on to the ending, obviously John Williams did this score again.
Yeah.
I've had a few conversations with people who didn't really feel that at points.
Crazy.
I'll be honest, I'm the same.
Really? Crazy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just think that the film really took me out of the Indiana Jones feel. So to the point where the soundtrack and the theme didn't really have an impact on me because I just was so disinterested and bored, to be honest. Okay. Tyler, what did you think about the theme?
Yeah, I didn't think it was anything better than any other movie. I thought it was just, it felt very similar to me to the Fantastic Beasts, the final one, where they would just play the Harry Potter theme every 15 minutes to be like, hey guys, remember, like this movie stinks, but remember there's a Harry Potter, so we're gonna trick your mind to think this is good.
That universe has given up in like trying to act like it's anything other than Harry Potter, whereas Indiana Jones, I think, is still Indiana Jones. But I feel like in the first couple Fantastic Beasts, they were like, hey, we're Harry Potter, but we're doing our own thing. And then the third movie was like, no, guys, we also have Dumbledore and we're Harry Potter again. So everyone come to this movie and it stinks.
Yeah, but I think I'm in between Cam and Seth. I didn't think the theme hit ever. I was never like, oh yeah, this theme rocks. But
I mean, like I don't know about the score. I don't know about the score in general. I'm just saying like the da 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 da. Every time it played, I was like, bah! It's like the Rocky music. Just it's like it's corny as hell, but every time you hear that or whatever the fucking Rocky music is,
I get what you're saying.
I just
I know what you mean. It just I think I love the Indiana Jones theme. I think the reason I wasn't impacted by it is because I was so disinterested in the film itself. Because if you're that disinterested and you're that bored and they're just kind of throwing that in again, like Tyler said, realistically, to remind you, this is an Indiana Jones film. You know, you used to love these films, whatever. And it just gets to the point where it becomes kind of redundant for me. But I'll go over the ending. We'll explain the ending. So Indy and Helena managed to make it to the second half of the dial. First, buried with Archimedes at the ear of Dionysus. Dionysus?
That sounds right.
Yeah, in Sicily, when they uncover his skeleton, Archimedes is holding a watch, which obviously went around his time. Before they can question that further, Voller, Mads Mikkelsen's character, arrives and Indy gives him the other half of the dial after Voller threatens Helena. Indy gets shot when Helen's ally Teddy, that's his name, Teddy, short round 2.0, Teddy. He arrives and tries to get the dial back before Voller and the Nazis leave with Indy. Helena and Teddy follow them to the airport where Voller intends to use the dial to travel back in time to August 20th, 1939 to kill Hitler and take over the Nazis, so very similar to what we've seen before, and rewriting every mistake he feels that Hitler made, which led them to losing the war. But Helena manages to sneak onto the plane while Teddy steals another plane to follow. I will say that, like, it did take a big swing, but at the same time, didn't you guys, like, predict that from the start? That was Mads Mikkelsen's plan when he was speaking about how the war ended and stuff like that.
Well, also, I just thought, like, and like I didn't want to say anything like during non-spoilers because I didn't know if this is a thing, but I thought like the whole Dial of Destiny, and I feel like the way they market it, for some reason I always thought like time travel was like the end goal of this movie, but I don't know if that was just something I made up in my head.
Travel was coming.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever officially said it. I just felt like the Dial of Destiny for some for some reason I think I just made it up in my mind. I was like, oh, time travel's happening in this, so that's why but I think it was like a surprise to some people, I guess, that they actually did it. Like I know Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with aliens was a big swing. Like all the Indiana Jones like are fantastical and do crazy stuff, but Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the first one to really be like, okay, we're going like super bonkers with like aliens. So I think with that happening with Dial of Destiny, they're like not that surprised, but I don't know. I just think it's like Mads Mikkelsen's character is just kind of an interest because we've seen so many movies with Nazis, and it's just an interesting take on the Nazis to be like, Hitler was so stupid. Yeah. I know every mistake he made. I'm so much smarter than him. I'm gonna go back and be better than Hitler. And I'm just like, I think that
was like a very funny part of the movie where the one constant, like you'll never get backlash if you make your villain a Nazi because everyone hates Nazis, right? Everyone can agree Nazis suck.
Well, if you not everyone, I'm sure.
Well, everyone should agree that Nazis suck, but for the most part, like. You can always make Nazis your villain. So I love how they just default Nazis on it, but then they're also like, but this Nazi doesn't like Hitler either. So people are going to like him more. And it's like, what a trick on that one.
I didn't think they were trying to make people like him more. I feel like they were.
Well, yeah.
I think he was just doing it because I don't think he'd do anything that different anywhere. Like you can tell, when he's in like the hotel or whatever he's in, and that guy speaking to him who's like brought him dinner. And then he's talking about how they lost the war and how he wants to go back and yada, yada, yada. I don't even think it was like he didn't like Hitler. I just think it was a case that they lost the war and he hates that they lost the war to the Western world. So the point is that he was just trying to go back and do things slightly differently, but still be a Hitler-like figure in order to win the war. I don't know if they were trying to like almost
maybe not like him. I was just saying like it's funny that he was like, I'm anti-Hitler too.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just think that was like it's such a one-dimensional take to have. Like it was so obvious from the get-go. Like you could even see his face in the early periods when we start, and obviously Indiana Jones is captured. And is he looking for the? No, he's not looking for the Archimedes at that point. He's looking for the dial, isn't he? Or is
he finds the dial, right?
He finds the fake for the Archimedes, or is it?
I forget. Who cares?
So many, yeah, he's trying to find the thing on the train.
Like I said, man, this thing is so mid in my opinion. Like I don't think it's like horrible. I think it's fine. And also I don't think like a lot of it is necessarily James Mangold's fault. I think he did pretty well with probably what he was given in just like old ass Indiana Jones. But
I don't think he did because I think that I think the main issue I have with this film is the direction a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. I think it was visually uninspiring. I think it didn't take many leaps. There was no sequences which stood out to me. And I think the main issue with that is James Mangold. And I mean, admittedly, I know you guys like him a lot because you've seen Logan, which I haven't seen.
Well, have you seen Ford v Ferrari either?
No, the only one I've only seen a couple of his films. I think he did Wolverine, didn't he? I think he did.
Yes. No, did he do the Wolverine? Yeah. Really? I forget he did both.
He also did he did Walk the Line, which is interesting. I actually
he did 310 to Yuma. God, this guy's great. Fuck yeah. Recently my search engine has been Yahoo. Can't figure out how to get it to go back to Google, and I'm really starting to get pissed off because Yahoo sucks.
Yahoo search engine like 15 years.
It sucks. It's so bad. Yahoo, this is why you're canceled, or you should be.
But yeah, I think personally, my main issue was James Mangold's direction.
What's y'all's opinion on The Greatest Showman?
I haven't seen it, which is shocking for me.
Super average.
Was that the one with the thing
with great music?
Hugh Jackman. People love that movie and gloss over the fact that what's his name, Hugh Jackman. Who does he play? P.T. Barnum, really shitty person.
People love that movie.
People really like that movie. P.T. Barnum just found a bunch of people that had like defects or had like something weird about them, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna make money off you. Like weird person, bad guy. People do not talk
It's
about
one
that
of the most
enough.
polarizing like graphs I've seen actually. To be
Yeah,
honest.
people really like that movie and also really hate it, but
Interesting.
it's I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay. But yeah, basically Indiana Jones. Is there anything else you guys want to go over at all, or we should kind of just stop them now?
So one more thing I want to talk about is Shia LaBeouf, the way they killed him off. What I think his name is Mutt, right? Mutt Jones or something.
Yeah, Mutt Williams, if
Mutt
I'm not
Williams.
mistaken.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He didn't have the same last name.
So they killed him off in like a super lazy way, similar to like Transformers, where like they just like mentioned him for like one single sentence and that's it. And basically, so like Dial of Destiny takes place in 1969 and Kingdom of Crystal Skull is 1957, and basically they say like that Indiana Jones and his wife have been separated for like years at this point. They're not talking because basically Mutt went to join the army like to like spite his dad, and then he was killed in action, and then from there like him and his wife like slowly started not being like, because she took it really hard and obviously he took it hard as well, and they just didn't really have like the same connection. Years pass, they separate, and it's been like years since they've seen each other. But the thing is, so like America first joined Vietnam in 1965. This movie's in 1969. I don't know. I feel like it was just like convenient to like throw him into Vietnam, but like the way they talk about him in the movie make it seem like he's been dead for like a decade. Whereas like
ages,
timeline wise, like it would have been like 2 years ago that he died. So like, I get it. They're like, oh, America's in Vietnam. Let's just say he joined that war or whatever. But it just doesn't really like, it didn't really make sense. Like historically for me, I was like, when I heard that he died in the war, I was like, when does this take place? Because I feel like Vietnam's like just starting right now. And like the fact that he's already been like dead for so many years is kind of,
or we think it's so many years. They speak about it like it's so long, like
right?
such a long
Because
time.
yeah, they make it seem like that strained their relationship, and then they were married for a while still and not really working, and they got divorced or separated and all that. But
so, honest question is so like if you know like he's not in any of the marketing, we knew Shia LaBeouf wasn't in this. Like, is there a better way to do that? Like, would you have rather them just not mentioned it, or like, is there a better way to do like, hey, we're killing off this character?
I think there's a more. I prefer it being mentioned, but I think there is definitely a more creative way. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know, but there's a more
like
creative way
at that point, it's not like I bet Shia LaBeouf just like didn't want to come back for this movie, and at that point, it's not something they can really do. So I just didn't know if like
I think they could weave it into the storyline a bit better than just using something that is so predictable and lazy, in my opinion. I think they could have weaved it in a little bit better.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure they could have. I don't know like what it is. I don't. So like for me, a 2-second mention is like that's all I need. Like if you're not, I'm not. This movie was never going to be perfect. So you know, if that were the only thing detracting for it, I'd be shocked. But I don't.
Yeah, here's my super fun made up theory that's like 100% like in no world do I think this is like real, but I just want to think it's real. So basically they go back in time at the end, and then so before they go back in time, Indiana Jones's wife aren't talking, estranged, the love's not really there. He travels back in time, he comes back, he's all injured. She shows up at his apartment, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge brings her over, and then they rekindle, they hug, they have some smooches, they feel better. So my theory that, you know, there's 0% chance of being true, but he went back in time, rippled the timeline. Shia LaBeouf never went to war. He's alive. That's why his wife's there and loves him. They're not estranged anymore because Shia LaBeouf's alive. Indiana Jones gets rebooted in 5 years. Mutt Williams is Indiana Jones. Shia LaBeouf is back. Cinema. End rant.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate Shia LaBeouf, honestly. I just don't care for like 90% of the characters he plays. I like Honey Boy.
So
think
good.
I forget
he's a
what
good
else.
actor?
Peanut Butter Falcon. I think he's a fine actor. I don't think he's good. I think he's fine. Like I don't think he's bad. Yeah, I would say good. I don't think he's great. I think he's a good actor. Like I would never put him in a list of like top 50, top 100 actors, but I would put him in a list of probably like top 200. I don't know how many
I
actors
think
there are.
top 200 is very, very good, to be fair.
You
I
think?
think, yeah.
Maybe
top
of
200.
all time, I maybe like living right now, I would have like Harrison Ford like miles above him. Would you? Even
Above-
now.
Now, maybe
Yeah,
not.
even now.
Not miles above him. I don't know.
I have Shia LaBeouf above Harrison Ford right now.
That-
I think I'd have him above him now.
I think even Harrison Ford mailing in shit is better than most.
No.
Yeah, I hard disagree with that.
Lost.
I will also say, while also having a kid, and I know you're going through this, Tyler, as well, having a puppy is not any more fun. Like it's very fun, but this guy's more of a menace than Bailey right now. And he shit on my floor earlier. Just killing
One
me.
thing I did want to ask you all, just casually, and George, you can get involved in this as well. I would like you to give me your Indiana Jones rankings so everyone can know our individual rankings for the 5, or in George's case, 4 films. Cam, you go first.
So 4, 5, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. So,
Wait, sorry, 4.
So, yeah, so Kingdom, Dial, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, Raiders. And I was also about to I don't know, I was about to tweet this last night, but didn't really feel like it. But I don't care what anyone's rankings are, but if they don't have Crusade and Raiders at the top, I don't know what's going on there. I think those are the clear cut 2 best.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly standard and should be standard, in my opinion. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion, but I feel like Raiders and Last Crusade are leaps and bounds better than the other 3.
Yeah, Tyler, what's yours?
Yeah, so bottom is Dial of Destiny. Then there's a decent sized gap. Kingdom of Crystal Skull, Dial of Destiny bottom, then Temple of Doom after a big jump, and then a small jump between those two to Kingdom of Crystal Skull, and then a jump up to Raiders, and then my top is Last Crusade. Based ranking.
I like that ranking, to be fair. I mean, I'll go over mine in a second. George, give me yours for obviously the 4.
And just the 4, Raiders, my number 1, followed closely behind by Last Crusade, and then Temple of Doom, Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I think that, I'm sure you guys would agree, I think the Raiders and Last Crusade are so close in quality. I'd go last place, I'd go Dial. Then I would go Temple of Doom, same as you, Tyler. Then I would go Crystal Skull. Then I would go Last Crusade. Then I would go Raiders. But I think Last Crusade and Raiders are, like Cam said, I think they're leaps and bounds ahead of the other 3.
So I have Last Crusade at a 94, so 4.5 out of 5, but as close as you can get to a 5, and then Raiders at a 98. I love Raiders. I know not everyone. Oh God, all right, Bailey's breaking my computer. I know not everyone does, but I saw Kozer P Films, so it's Connor from the screen unoriginal Kozer. Is that it, Connor? Yeah. Well, his name's Connor, but I thought it was Kozer. My bad. But he's on the Unoriginal Screenplay podcast. Shout out them. But he said he didn't like the he doesn't love the dad son aspect of The Last Crusade, and I think that's without a doubt the best part.
I think that was the most emotional moment of
I think so too. Yeah, and it went viral this week. Everyone loved to retweet it.
It is a great theme.
I also saw someone tweet that The Last Crusade released 43 years ago today, yesterday or something. So I saved those exact pictures, and I was about to tweet that from the ReelTok account, but I was like, I'll Google it first just to be sure. Released in May, and so
that's Twitter for you.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that really sucks. I can't clickbait that right now.
Yeah.
Stop stealing my hats, man. Please.
We'll move on from Indiana Jones. Our scores, obviously, George, I'm assuming you'll watch it soon, and then you can speak about it on whichever podcast you want to watch. Tyler gave it a 1.5 or a 3.4. Yep. Cam gave it a 2.5. I think it was 50 exactly, wasn't it?
On the number. Just mid.
And I give it a 2 out of 5.
Right.